Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In the spirit of skilling in RuneScape 3 and AFKing being the more prominent methods used in RuneScape 3, I wanted to make a video showcasing all the best AFK methods for each skill in RuneScape. So in this video, I will be going through all 29 skills, and I will be showing you some of the best AFK training methods for those skills. There will be timestamps in the description for each skill, so without further ado, let's jump into the video. Now to start off, I do want to talk about proteins. Of course, they are always an AFK method to train their respective skills. I won't be mentioning them in this video unless there's really no other alternative AFK method. So if you're wondering why proteins aren't mentioned too much in this video, that's because I am trying to find actual training methods for the skills and excluding proteins when possible. Now with that out of the way, let's start with agility. Agility is one of the most annoying skills in RuneScape, but you can train it passively through the use of Silverhawk boots, which you can purchase for free at the marketplace or in the Oddment store. It doesn't show up for me because I already own them. But once you do have these Silverhawk boots, you can charge them with Silverhawk feathers, which you can buy on the Grand Exchange, or you might get some Silverhawk down, which you will get from Treasure Hunter, or you can buy from the marketplace. As an Iron Man, Silverhawk boots are off limits, so this is only for a main account. When charged with Silverhawk feathers, you will get an experience drop about every 45 seconds when you're regularly skilling, and it will equal to 10% of the experience rewarded from a small XP lamp. To go from level 1 to 99 without any skilling boosts, you will need about 23,300 feathers, which at current Grand Exchange prices costs about 72 mil. So for main accounts, agility can completely be bought to 99, and you can train it while you're training any other skill in the game. For those Iron Men out there, the best AFK training method would probably be the Serenity Posts in Prifddinas. So of course you will need level 75 agility and completion of the Plague's End quest for Prifddinas. And these Serenity Posts, they are completely AFK. You can AFK for about 20 to 25 minutes if you're not actively doing the right pose, and you will get around 20,000 XP per day. Alternatively, the Heffen Agility course at level 77 agility is also a pretty good option. It isn't AFK, you do need to click every once in a while, but you can set it up so you don't have to move your mouse. You can expect anywhere from 60,000 agility XP up to 140,000 agility XP, but ultimately, the Silverhawk boots are by far the best if you are a main account. Next, we have Archaeology. Now, in general, Archaeology is a bit of an AFK skill, but there is one method that gives you the best XP per hour, and you can also make much better GP per hour from it. And it's doing the Red Rum Relic 3 collection. Now, to complete the Red Rum Relic 3 collection, you will need 119 Archaeology, or at least be able to boost up to that. So that means you will be getting a lot of Archaeology XP for restoring these relics because they are such a high level. The main reason why you're going to want to do the Red Rum Relic 3 collection is because the reward for completing this collection is a Tetracompass piece. When claiming the reward, you will get a Tetracompass piece. Once you have 4 of them, you can combine it into a Tetracompass, which is a lot like a clue scroll, except there's one step and you will get the casket. The rewards will be some random artifacts that you can restore for a bunch of Archaeology XP. You'll also get 1 to 2 complete tomes, which will give you a lump sum of Archaeology XP. So that's why this is the best AFK method for training Archaeology, because not only are you recovering some high-level artifacts to restore, but you're also getting Tetracompass pieces, which then you can do and get those complete tomes, which is a ton of extra XP. You also will potentially make some money off the Tetracompasses as well, especially given that you have that chance at Tony's Matic. So when completing Red Rum Relic 3, you will need to go to the 2 different sites, Bando's Sanctum Debris and the Makeshift Pie Oven. All 3 artifacts you will obtain from Bando's Sanctum Debris will be needed for Red Rum Relics 3, Whereas the makeshift pie oven location, only one of the 2 artifacts is needed, which is the Boss Man, so most of your time is going to be spent at the Bandos Sanctum Debris. Another benefit about this method is that you will have a 1 in 50,000 chance of getting the Spear Tip of Annihilation when you are making progress at the Bandos Sanctum Debris, so that is going to be another chunk of change if you do get lucky and get that Spear Tip. Next we have melee. So there are plenty of different AFK methods for melee, but one of the best that I found was Abyssal Demons in the Wilderness. You can get around 750,000 base XP per hour, and setting up the method's pretty simple. You can see I first set up a cannon right near the Wilderness Obelisk in level 18 Wilderness, and this is so it will aggro all of the Abyssal Demons around me, and it just speeds it up a little bit. So if you don't have the cannon, it is alright, you can use it without. They will still be aggressive in the wilderness, but this just allows me to hit those Abyssal Demons at ranged, and then they'll all come in on me. Next, you will want an AoE action bar, similar to the one that I have. I have my best AoE abilities like Meteor Strike, Hurricane, Quake, and Cleave at the front of my action bar, and then filled up the rest with just what's left over. Overall, this method is really great. You can even get some passive Invention XP as well. I like using the mechanized siphon for this. It will automatically siphon any equipment that I have as soon as it reaches level 12 or higher, and so it's just a nice way to passively get some Invention XP as well. But as you can see, the method is quite simple. I have Soul Split active to make sure I am always on full health. I have my Penance Aura, so I have Unlimited Prayer. You will be able to make a little bit of money here as well, bringing the Spring Cleaner and a gem bag. If you do have the Death Note Relic, that will make it so all ashes will be noted, so that will just further increase your GP per hour. So another really good AFK option for melee is using the Abyss. You can teleport here using the Mage of Zamorak just north of the Edgeville Wilderness Ditch. Once you get here, you will just automatically be attacked by these abyssal creatures, so you can just have your AoE action bar and just keep on killing them. You can see that I am getting about 800,000 XP per hour on double XP, so the base XP for me was around 400k. I also had the Tome of equipped, so whenever I picked up all of the ashes, which are worth over 1k each, they automatically went to my bank. So this is also a pretty decent money maker, especially for those mid-level players. For construction, there aren't too many great AFK methods, which is why I included protein planks in this method. You can get about 250 to 300k base XP per hour using protein planks, so they are a decent option. There are a few AFK methods, but they really don't make much sense. Alternatively, you could make flat packs, which would give you about 250k base XP per hour. However, you are going to be using a ton of planks. So the ones that I was making was the mahogany chairs. They use 2 mahogany planks per chair, and that costs roughly 2.5k. The chair itself is only worth about 300 GP or 200 GP, and they don't really sell on the Grand Exchange anyway. So you are going to be losing a fair amount of money doing this method, but it is an AFK way to train the skill. Finally, the third AFK method that you could do to train construction is by building Fort 4 and 3. So I've done it all once, I have the entire fort built, but you can actually continue to build it again and again, and you do get a lot of XP for this. You can see the Command Center Tier 3 gives you 331,000 construction XP. You do need level 99 construction, but you can see it takes about 80 Elder Frames to make. So Elder Frames, they are extremely expensive. In fact, they are listed on the Grand Exchange for right around 200k each. However, they don't even sell for that, they usually sell for more. But say you were able to buy them for 200k, that's 16 million coins in Elder Frames, where you're only getting 300k construction XP. So it is extremely expensive, but it is completely AFK. So that is another option if you have the money to do it. Cooking is another skill where basically the entire thing can be AFK. You just need to stand next to a bank and a portable range. You can use the bonfire at Prifddinas. And so all you need to do, go into your bank, load a preset with raw fish, and cook it. And so at level 90, you can cook Rocktail. You can get about 400k base XP per hour. Double XP, that would be about 400k. If you are using portable range, I highly recommend having a Brooch of the Gods if you can afford it. It will allow you to make an extra piece of food every once in a while. But cooking is just one of those skills that you can always AFK as long as you have some raw fish in the bank. Crafting has one AFK method that is by far the most AFK, and that is the Ithil Harps in Prifddinas. So again, you will need level 75 crafting and the Plague's End quest completed to unlock Prifddinas and use these harps. You can get about 100k base XP per hour, and it is quite AFK. So the way it works is when you do start playing one of the harps, you will start getting some XP every time you hit the right note. Now over time, the harp will become out of tune and you'll hit the right note, get that XP drop less often. So the method is quite AFK. You can AFK for maybe up to 5 minutes at a time, but if you are paying more attention and you do tune the harp every once in a while, you'll be getting a little bit more crafting XP per hour. That being said, it is one of the best and most AFK crafting methods. I remember I AFK'd this for a while when training crafting to 99. So it is a pretty solid method. You will be getting some harmonic dust as well, which is going to be needed to upgrade things like your dragon hatchet to the crystal hatchet. Same with the mattock and the pickaxe versions. Normally when training Divination, you harvest your energy and then convert them at a Divination Rift. And so Divination itself does have some aspects which are AFK, but it isn't really as AFK as something like Ancestral Energy. You do require level 95 Divination to do this, and it's located on the Uncharted Islands. You can see that you are getting consistent Divination XP, and it takes roughly 5 minutes for one of the Ancestral Energies to end up depleted. So that means your AFK time is about 5 minutes, and you will be getting about 130k XP per hour, and this is really the best AFK method. Now there is an alternative method, and that is training Divination through the Hall of Memories. This is especially good if someone is hosting a core hunting party, which happens all the time on double XP. It can be even taken advantage of if you're an Iron Man account, because during these core hunting parties, you have people that automatically fill up the plinths whenever they're empty. That way you will have one of the memories spawn in the middle of the room, where you will be getting XP faster and filling up your jars much faster. You can get about 185k XP per hour, base XP per hour from this method, and it is quite AFK. You can probably AFK for a minute or two at a time before the memory will disappear, and then you can go deposit all of your filled jars into the rift for a huge XP drop. If you are interested in learning more about this method, you can join the Core Hunting Friends chat or the Core Hunting Discord. They do give you all the information you need for that, and they will post when they are hosting these core hunting parties. Dungeoneering is one skill in RuneScape that you either love or hate, and a lot of people would love to have an AFK method of training Dungeoneering, but that doesn't really exist, at least outside of the Dungeoneering Hole, which is a summer event where you can just AFK Dungeoneering, and that's why it's one of the most popular events in the game. People love it because they don't like training Dungeoneering and they want an AFK method. So that's really the only option you have for an AFK training method, and it is only offered in the summer. It usually comes back just about every summer, so definitely stay tuned for that and don't miss it. Another really popular AFK Dungeoneering method, at least it was in the past, was leeching. It still does happen some, but it's not as advertised as much since the skill isn't trained as much. But what leeching is you go in with a group of experienced players and you basically do nothing. You don't even have to play at all. Just make sure your character doesn't log out. Your team will complete the dungeon for you and you will get some XP for that. There are a few penalty deductions if you do absolutely nothing, but still you will be getting a pretty significant amount of XP for no work. So that is another option. Some people, they do charge you money for that, like maybe 3 mil to go through a floor. It isn't something that is promoted that much, but you might be able to find a trustworthy person or maybe even a friend that will take you through a dungeon and you won't have to do much work. And then finally, while not AFK, it is a passive way to train Dungeoneering. It's just through Elite Dungeons. I did test this a few months ago and I was able to get around 150k base XP per hour doing Elite Dungeon 1. It's fun because you get to do some bossing, you make a ton of money at Elite Dungeon 1, and you do get a little bit of Dungeoneering XP. So that is another option for some players. However, it's much slower than actually going through and training Dungeoneering the real way. So with farming, it is a pretty unique AFK method, and it's using the herbicide and the seedicide. Now you can buy both the herbicide and seedicide from the farmer's market for 10,000 beans each. Alternatively, you can buy the herbicide from the Dungeoneering token shop for 34,000. But basically you will want both. So Turoths, they drop a lot of seeds and a lot of herbs. What these two things do is they turn the herbs and seeds into farming XP. So rather than getting the drop, you're getting farming XP. So it's a really nice way to get some passive XP. All you need to do is get a solid mage set up. You will want a Staff of Light or Abyssal Wand, something that can use the Slayer Dart spell. And then you can just AFK Turoths and get passive farming XP that way. Firemaking is quite similar to cooking, where most of the skill is quite AFK. You just fill up your inventory of logs and then burn it on a fire. For the absolute best XP per hour, you could use Elder Logs. However, they're around 9,000 coins per log, so it's really expensive. So I highly recommend using either magic logs or corrupted magic logs. The corrupted version gives slightly better XP, so if you want to go for that, definitely do that. But overall, the magic logs will get you about 320k XP per hour. Like always, you should be using a portable, or you can use the bonfire in Prifddinas, and it is quite AFK. You just need to burn your logs. Once the inventory is done, go to the bank, get more, rinse and repeat. The best AFK fishing method requires quite a few things. It is located in Prifddinas, so you will need to have the plagues and quests completed, but you'll also need level 90 agility, ranged, and strength just to climb up to the top of the waterfall to start fishing. The fishing requirement is level 93 at the first two spots, and then level 95 in the middle location. 97 is required for the third and farthest away location. You'll be catching different crystal urchins, which can then be cashed in at the Prifddinas waterfall shop for points. This is completely AFK because the fishing spot does not move. You will stop fishing every once in a while, so it isn't completely AFK, but you will only need to check every few minutes. So it is much better than regular fishing locations. So you can start this as soon as level 93 as long as you have those other requirements, and it is a really great AFK method for fishing. Fletching is another skill that can be quite AFK, and there are a lot of AFK methods to do with it. What I did when I was going to 1 to 99 Fletching is I made broad arrows. You could do this at level 52 Fletching, but you do need to purchase the ability to make it with a Slayer Master. You'll be able to get a base XP rate of 562,000 XP per hour. The only downside of broad arrows is that they are untradeable, so the only thing you can really do with them is disassemble them or use them. So from that point of view, it isn't that great, but it is still a lot cheaper to make than, say, rune arrows. So for broad arrows, right now, with current prices, it's about 12 GP per XP to make them. So if you are going to get 1 million XP in Fletching, it's going to cost you about 12 million coins. The AFK time for broad arrows is about 30 seconds. So again, it's also not one of the more AFK methods, but there is an alternative. Alternatively, you can use magic logs to make either the magic shortbow U, the shield bow U, or a magic stock. Making the magic shortbow yew is the most cost-effective method. It will be giving you around a 45-second AFK time, so a little bit better than the broad arrows. The GP per XP is about 2 to 3, so that means if you got 1,000,000 Fletching XP, it would only cost you 2 to 3 million coins, which is much cheaper. And the XP per hour is around 140,000, so significantly less than broad arrows. But if that's the method you want to take, then go for it. For Herblore, the best AFK method is using the extreme ranging potions. The reason being, the extra ingredient with extreme ranging potions are stackable. The same could be said for extreme magic potions as well, but the extreme ranging potions require a higher level, so they're a bit higher XP per hour. You get about 720,000 XP per hour doing this method, that is base XP per hour, and all you'll need is to combine the Grenwall spikes with super ranging potion 3s. You will want to use it on a portable well like always, and if you have Brooch of the Gods, it is really helpful. You can make extra potions that way. The Herblore requirement is quite high at level 92 Herblore. If you have 91, you can do the super magic potions. It's the same thing except using super magic 3s and ground mud runes. Now, another thing with Herblore is using the protein shakes. They are actually really great XP per hour and extremely AFK. So as I mentioned before, proteins are always a really great AFK option, so there is that as well. Hunter doesn't really have a great AFK method, and so if you do have proteins in your main account, then getting protein traps, they are one of my most recommended items to convert your proteins into. Protein traps are amazing and the XP per hour is really high. At Carrion Jadinkos with protein traps, you can get around 900,000 base XP per hour, and it's completely AFK. You can automatically set up your protein traps, and you'll just stop after about 60 are placed, which would take maybe roughly 5 minutes to complete. And honestly, this is one of my go-to methods on double XP on my main, just to train Hunter, just because the XP is so fast and it's extremely AFK. Mining Saren Stones is one of the most AFK activities in the game. You get a stackable resource from them in corrupted ore, and they never deplete, so you can just constantly mine them. You can get about 150k XP per hour here. However, the requirements are a bit high. You need level 89 mining to mine them, plus you need to have access to Prifddinas, which requires the Plague's End quest. This is a really great AFK method to train your mining, and it's definitely something I did on my way to 99. The nice thing about this method too is that you will be collecting this corrupted ore, which later on you can actually smelt and get some pretty AFK smithing XP as well at no cost. So just like with melee, Abyssal Demons in the Wilderness is one of the best methods for training magic in an AFK way. Again, you will want to use the cannon, and with the restocking feature, it makes this method extremely AFK. Now, for the method, you can see I don't have the best mage setup, so you could probably get a little bit more XP per hour than I am getting. The main things to bring are your best mage gear and have an action bar with your AoE abilities, such as Greater Chains if you have it, Corruption Blast, Dragon Breath, and then you will want to have Sunshine and Tsunami. Those are also really good ultimate abilities to use. And as you can see, I'm able to get up to 1.5 million XP per hour. It is on double XP, so for a base XP per hour, you can expect around 750k. Next, we have Abyssal Beasts in the Wilderness, where you can get 900,000 XP per hour. This is the setup I use when doing this method, so I do have full tier 95, however, it isn't absolutely necessary. Zuck Cape is quite helpful, along with the Blood Amulet of Fury for the passive healing, but most importantly is to have an action bar similar to mine. Again, if you don't have the Zuck Cape, just remove Death Skulls from the action bar. But overall, you should be able to get 800 to 900k XP per hour if you can somewhat replicate my action bar and my setup. Abyssal Beasts are located just south of the lava maze. The nice thing about them is that they're always aggressive, so this method is fully AFK. You don't need any aggression potions or anything, and if you are using the Penance Aura, then you can have Soul Split active at all times. In fact, usually you can have Soul Split and Sorrow active and still never run out of prayer. Now you can see that your health sometimes gets a bit low, so if you do notice that your setup isn't as good as mine or you are taking a little bit more damage, then definitely add Blood Siphon to that bar. You could move it up a bit because that basically just heals you to full whenever you use it. But one of the most important abilities on the bar is the Spectral Scythe ability. You'll definitely want to have all 3 upgrades for that, because that's really where you're getting most of your AoE damage. Next is Prayer, and Prayer there are a few different AFK methods, but probably one of the better ones is the Hefn Cleansing Crystals and Prifddinas. You can get around 280k to 340k XP per hour here, and it is quite AFK. The only downside is that it does cost a fair amount of GP, about 3.2 million GP per hour, so you do have to keep that in mind. It's a more expensive way to train, but that's sort of what you get when you get an AFK method to train the skill. All you have to do is go to the Hefn Cathedral, buy the cleansing crystals from the guy there, and then you can just start cleansing the crystal in the middle, and it is completely AFK from there. Each crystal will take around 2 minutes to fully use, so you have that 2 minute of AFK time, then you'll need to click on the crystal again to start using one of your other cleansing crystals. The XP per hour is 280k if there is no Voice of Saren active for the Hefn district. If it is active, then you can get up to 340,000 XP per hour. Ranged can also kill abyssal demons in the same manner as magic and melee, except it's a bit harder to get AoE out of ranged, so you can bring mechanized Chinchampas, which are 5k each, and the XP per hour would be more like the 750k, like in the previous methods. But if you are using red Chinchampas, which are quite cheap, about 300 GP each, you'll still get about 600k XP per hour, and the costs are much lower. You'll be bringing in some profit from the abyssal demons. So this method, it is very similar. Just bring your best ranged gear, and you will want some type of Chinchampa because they deal AoE damage. You will want to have an action bar with your best AoE abilities. I started off with Death Swiftness. That's always one of the best abilities to use. Corruption Shot is also really helpful because it can deal some AoE damage. Ricochet or Greater Ricochet is a really great ability to have, and then you want Bombardment, and then you can just add things like Snapshot and some basic abilities. Overall, this method, it is quite simple. Again, I am using a cannon to target them and to make them aggroed onto me, and then I just deal my AoE damage with the Chinchampas. Alternatively, you can head to the Abyss and defeat the creatures inside there. This method, it is a little bit easier. You won't be taking as much damage, so it's more suited for maybe a mid-level player. Again, you will want red Chinchampas, which do require level 55 ranged. They will be dealing the AoE damage, and you'll be getting around 400k XP per hour here. Abyss creatures always drop just regular ashes, which are in demand for Necromancy ink. So you can pick these up if you do have the Tome of 2. Again, that will teleport it straight to the bank, so you can make some profit off of these guys too. RuneSpan is a 12-year-old minigame which introduced an AFK training method for runecrafting. It is a pretty easy method. You just need to go to the top of the Wizard's Tower and enter either the low-level portal, or you can enter the mid-level portal at level 33 runecrafting, and the upper level or high level at level 66. RuneSpan is quite simple. You just need to collect some of the floating essence to start, siphon off a few of the creatures so you get some more of the essence in RuneSpan, and then you can start crafting different types of runes based on the various nodes. Some of the best nodes to use include the Undead Soul, Bloody Skulls, Living Soul, Blood Pool, Skulls, Jumper, and Shifter, followed by things like the Nebula, Chaotic Cloud, Fleshy Growth, and Vine. Overall, once you do RuneSpan enough, you will get the sense of which nodes are best to siphon from, but overall, once you are a high level, you can get around 100k base XP per hour in RuneSpan, which isn't too bad considering runecrafting is a quite click-intensive skill. Another really great AFK runecrafting method is runecrafting soul runes. There are quite a few requirements that you would need to have, including level 90 runecrafting and the Fight Club quest completed, which is a part of the Menaphos quest line. Now, to do this method, you will want to fill up your inventory with the pure essence, as well as any rune pouches, the ethereal outfit, and using a demonic skull will get you more XP. You can go to the soul altar using the abyss. Once you reach the soul altar, you can deposit your runes in the charger, and then you can charge the altar. This will take 2.5 minutes, so this is your AFK time. Once it is fully charged, you can craft the soul runes at the middle by clicking on the altar. Make sure you have some decorated runecrafting urns in your inventory or in your Brooch of the Gods. That way you will get some extra XP from this, and maybe you'll be able to get the 300k XP per hour. But overall, this method is really great. There are just quite a few requirements for it. And it is a nice AFK method where you can get 300k XP per hour. Slayer can be one of the most AFK skills to train. Now, you don't have your choice, at least not all the time, on what Slayer creature you are going to kill, but there are plenty of AFK tasks. There's abyssal creatures, whether it be abyssal demons, beasts, savages. There are elves, soul devourers, corrupted creatures, nightmare creatures, muspahs, crystal shapeshifters. The list goes on. There are even tasks that might not seem AFK that you can turn AFK by using aggression potions. So overall, Slayer, it is just an AFK skill because combat in general can be AFK'd quite easily. If you're someone who doesn't want to use aggression potions, you can even go to the wilderness, and the creatures there are automatically aggressive, so that is another way to make a task AFK. Ever since the mining and smithing rework, smithing has been somewhat AFK, but there are some methods that are more AFK than others. One is corrupted ore. So if you were mining those Saren stones like I mentioned earlier in the AFK mining method, you would have accumulated a fair amount of corrupted ore, which you can just burn in the furnace and Prifddinas and get some AFK smithing XP. You can get about 240k base XP per hour here, so it is pretty good. There's no cost to it because you would have accumulated all the corrupted ore yourself. And that's the only use for this corrupted ore as well. So it is a nice way to not only train your mining XP by mining those Saren stones, but then later on you can do the AFK smithing using this method here. Just doing regular smithing is also a pretty good AFK method. There is a trick to this though. When you are going to go smith something, you will want to make sure you have multiple unfinished products in your inventory. So for example, if I start this Elder Rune body, I can right click the furnace here, go into the interface again, and just keep on beginning new projects. That way in my inventory, I have 4 unfinished Elder Rune plate bodies. So when I go to smith it on the anvil, once one is finished, I'll automatically start another. That way you will be smithing the entire time. Now this is completely AFK, but as you know, with smithing, your heat will slowly drain. Once your heat reaches 0, you'll be making very slow progress, so your XP per hour won't be that high. If you do have a smithing auto heater, you can use this to automatically boost your heat back up. As you can see, once your unfinished item reaches 0 heat, the auto heater will automatically boost it to 30% heat using 5 coal. You can also turn into overheat mode, so it'll consume 50 coal and put you back up to 60% heat. So this will just help make the AFK progress a little bit faster, but still it won't be near as fast as if you're always making sure your item is on maximum heat. Unfortunately for summoning, there isn't really a true AFK summoning method. One method you could maybe consider is using the Charming Imp. So the Charming Imp automatically picks up charms for you, but you can also have it destroy these charms for a little bit of summoning XP. You can see it really isn't much. By destroying a blue charm, you get about 16 XP. Now, the Arc Glacier is one of the best creatures to kill for charms. It will drop 4 blue charms at a time, and it's fairly consistent. That means if you did have the charms destroyed, you're getting about 64 XP for the blue charms, maybe another 30, 40 for the crimson charms, so maybe 100 summoning XP per kill. You can see how it's not really great at all, so summoning, it can't really be trained AFK. It's better just to pick up the charms and train it actively for a few hours, because you can get well over 1 million XP per hour at the high summoning levels, and so it's better to just train it that way and pick up your charms with the Charming Imp. Next, we have Thieving Prifddinas Elves. You can get about 400k XP per hour using this method, but you do require the Plague's End quest to be completed, and you will need a thieving level of at least level 91. The elves, they can be pickpocketed between level 91 and 98 depending on the clan, and you will want to rotate from clan to clan, because once 3 elves catch you, you can no longer pickpocket them for 20 minutes. But players are usually expected to have around 5 to 7 minutes of pickpocketing for each clan's workers if you do have the Crystal Mask spell active. So that will also require the Light Within quest to be completed as well, so you can have the Crystal Mask. It is definitely recommended to use because it makes it so the elves won't catch you as often, and it will mean you can AFK for longer. So this is actually one of the better AFK methods. Again, like I said, 5 to 7 minutes. You get 400k XP per hour, and you do get a little bit of random loot, which can add up. It isn't really a great moneymaker, but maybe you could expect to earn around 1 to 2 mil GP per hour. Woodcutting is one of the slowest skills in RuneScape 3, and there also aren't very many AFK methods for it. But one of the better AFK methods is cutting golden bamboo. Now, it is a little bit difficult to do. You need to go on an uncharted island, so you can buy one of those maps, either from the Dungeoneering trader, as you can see here, or from the traveling merchant. You'll also be able to randomly get one while skilling every 2 days, so you might even have one in your bank. Once you have a map, you can head to Port Sarum and head north along the docks. You can then talk to Quartermaster Gully, and he will take you to your uncharted island. Now, on some of these, you will be able to find some golden bamboo, like the one here, but it is a bit hit or miss. Sometimes there won't be any on an island, and you'll have to just try another one. Golden bamboo does require level 96 woodcutting to cut on the island, so it is a higher level requirement, but that's how you're going to be getting the best XP per hour. Now, the golden bamboo is really great because it's extremely AFK. You do get some resources from it, so your inventory will fill up, but if you have a dwarven chain axe, you can turn it to the double XP mode, so you'll get double the XP from the golden bamboo, and you won't get any resources, making this fully AFK. So rather than the 130k XP per hour, you'll be getting 260. This can continually stack with things like pulse cores and bonus XP. If you are doing this on double XP like I am right now, the Dwarven Chain Axe just won't work, but outside of that it will, and you won't be getting any bamboo in your inventory. Once you have a full inventory of bamboo, you can bundle it up and it will become stackable. You'll also get a little bit of Fletching XP. but it will take at least a few minutes, maybe up to 5 minutes, to get a full inventory. Now, if you don't have that massive 96 woodcutting requirement, you can also do choking ivy. It only requires level 68 woodcutting, and it can be found on the walls of various different places, like Valador, for example. It's also found in Varrock and a few other places as well. Now, choking ivy, it can give you around 85 to 125,000 XP per hour. The only downside is that it does deplete, and it can deplete fairly fast. Usually it does stay up for quite a bit, and it will respawn fairly often, but the reason why it's more AFK than just regular trees is because you don't get any resources from cutting this ivy. If you do have Prifdinous unlocked, again with the Plague's End quest, you can chop ivy here. You can sometimes get more XP, in fact 20% more XP per hour. If the Crewie's Voice of Saren is active, you'll get 20% more woodcutting XP. So this is probably the best spot to chop ivy if you do have it unlocked. Additionally, if the Crewie's Voice of Saren is active, you will have a chance at getting the Crystal Geodes instead of Bird Nests, which is just some better loot. And finally, we have Invention. Now, Invention is mainly trained through combat in general, so you can use any of the combat methods I've already showed you in this video. But one item that I find is just really helpful when training Invention, especially when you're using one of these AFK methods, is the Mechanized Siphon. So this item can be made at level 77 Invention, and all it is something that automatically siphons your gear once it reaches a certain level. So I have it set so once my gear reaches level 12, it automatically siphons it, and I'll get the Invention XP. That way I will never go over level 12, and it won't be like when I finish an hour of AFKing whatever I'm doing, I notice that my gear's at level 12.5 or 13, and I wasted some of that item XP. This way it just automatically does it, so I highly recommend using it. It can hold up to 50 equipment siphons, and like I said, you can customize it to siphon at whatever level you want. And so those are some of the best AFK training methods for every skill in RuneScape 3. If you guys think I missed anything, please let me know in the comments down below, and I'll make sure to pin the comment so everyone else knows that maybe there are a few other methods that they could try out. I really hope you found this video helpful. It did take a long time to edit and put together, but it was really fun doing a ton of research and compiling all of the best AFK methods for every skill. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Peace.